firing it up. They'll probably hear the
Ye-
munchkins in the back.
Oh shoot! Hold on.
Am I
I knew I
picking up
forgot
the
something.
distortion here? We should be good to go.
Give me 1 second. Actually, my robot is on the loose right now.
All right. Well, while Mike gets that together, we should all be up. You guys should be seeing me. Welcome to the channel. Let's just double check here, make sure everything is good. Yep, everything is fantastic. All right, just double checking. So, welcome to Chad's Money Minutes. This is a live that I actually had scheduled with Mike, but traveling and working, everything really just kind of just like did not work out. And then when I was finally able to be free, I got in contact with Mike. He said he was free. So we put together this live feed. I did a virtual background because I'm in my daughter's room. So you may see a little distortion there. It is what it is. You guys know how I do. So now what this is, hey, what's up, Matt?
What's going on,
What
Matt?
this is that we want to talk about points travel. Now, a lot of people have conjectures on how to do it. Then there are people who really get in and get it done and in a big way. Mike is one of those people. He's been all over the world. He's flown carriers I have not flown. And this specific live feed is going to be centered on both of our Italy trips, which we actually took in very close proximity to one another. I took mine in January. And when did you take yours, Mike?
Mine was right after Thanksgiving.
Okay, so he was about a month, 2 months behind me. So we're going to talk about different parts of Italy, how to get around, what carriers we like, our points redemptions, how we made those happen, our experiences on the flights and the hotels, and just experience in Italy as a whole. So we figured we would share that with you guys. I got pictures here and stuff that I can share up as well. And it should be a good time. So if you see me look off, it's because I'm trying to control the computer as well. So now, without further ado, and me talking anymore, because I mean, God knows we've heard a bunch of that. Let's just introduce. I'll have him introduce himself because no one can do it better. Please, Mike,
Thanks,
introduce
Chad.
yourself.
Thanks, Chad, for introduction. Thanks everyone joining tonight. Appreciate the audience. My name is Michael from Wong Travels. I am a travel credit card YouTuber. I've been doing this for a couple months now, and really the intent of my channel is just to share the love of using your credit cards for travel and exploring the world, whether it's strategies, any tips and tricks like that. And yeah, so and the reality is with travel and using credit cards, they're both this you can use them in the same manner and do however you want. And so for this discussion, it's good to partner with Chad because we literally just went to Italy a month apart from each other. And my strategy was kind of weird, at least, because I actually haven't told anyone until today. If you watch some of my videos for Italy, I didn't tell anyone how I got there. And I'll start there with this one because it was on points, but we decided to do economically due to our future trips for next year. And so we actually took economy. And I know it's going to sound crazy, but when you get 10,000 points from Atlanta to to Rome for 10,000 Virgin Atlantic points, I think it's a win every day. I know the flight 6 8 hours long, but going directly from Atlanta was a win for us, and also it was a learning experience for my player too, because I helped her redeem the flight herself. So we kind of taught each other how to do this, and she understood. And that's another reason when you have a player two, you really
Mhm.
show them how it works with the points and miles game. And so that was what we did. We took economy from Atlanta to Rome, and it was an 8 hour flight. We had our we had a good experience. It's I think sometimes when you're taking all these luxury travel, sometimes taking something like economy does kind of make you think about how much you work for those points and enjoy the experience. So that's how we started our trip, and we did 4 nights in Rome, and then we did another three in Milan. So I'll spin it back to Chad here, and let's talk about how you got to Rome as well. I know you probably took it a little bit more adventurous, I would say.
Yeah, how we did it, we set it up as like a 10-day trip. We afforded days for travel, and we flew into Milan from Atlanta via Air France. So we stopped in Paris, And then from Paris, we did business class to Milan. And from there, we drove to Lake Como. Now, Como on the lake is actually about 45 minutes away from the Milan airport. So you're going to be 45 minutes to an hour before you get over there. You get to enjoy the a bit of, Italian city driving, and then all of a sudden you just hit paradise. And then from there we stayed 2 nights there, and then we stayed one night in Venice. We did the whole gondola bit, and then after that we did 4 nights in we did 4 nights in Rome. And then from there we did a night in Germany, in Frankfurt, and then we came back in through Detroit, and that was on Lufthansa. So that was my experience on exactly how I got there, but there were a bunch of adventures in between.
And so, Chad, has this your first time in Italy, or you've been there? It's your second time around, or third time around?
No, it was my second time in Europe, but my first time in Italy. The first year we went to Paris, and we had a great time. And with this time, we wanted to do Italy, but we wanted to even try to go bigger. So we had more points than I did when I did the Paris trip, because my Paris trip, we actually paid a mix of cash and points for our hotel. With this one, every single hotel was paid for with points except for the Hilton Lake Como. That one I paid cash. Other than that, everything else was points.
Yeah. So for this trip, it was still planned, but there was some value in it. And so for my 4 nights in Rome, I did two properties. I wanted to experience both, kind of give a perspective really. So I did one Hyatt property, which was a small luxury hotel, and I did do the Curio Hilton, which I will admit, being a Hyatt, loyalist for the last year, it really made me open my eyes just of Hilton. And while it was a lot. I mean, it was basically all of my war chest for Hilton. It was 85,000 a night. And that kind of points, you really want to see how much it goes far. And honestly, location in Hilton and Rome, it was great. I mean, it felt like 5 stars, and it really was. Like just from the start, you go on the marble, the introduction, the service, like they really did treat you as, I like to say, like a king or a queen, because that's what you want to be treated when you go and spend that kind of points at that kind of property in Hilton. So scenery wise, to describe that Hilton, it was definitely more of the business area. And
Hmm.
Chad, this one was more north. It was very north of all the attractions. Think of it like
And that's the
it's
Hilton Curio.
yep, Hilton Curio, the Aleppo Hotel,
Let's see if we can
and
pull it up. I'll try
and
to
it
pull
was
it up as well.
and it was nice too because I have the Surpass card for talking to points and miles, and because of my Hilton Gold status, we did get that breakfast credit, which was a nice breakfast buffet, and it was very nice. You get to go to one of the restaurants in the
Mhm.
morning, and you enjoy a very good spread. When I thought about it overall, when I compared the two properties, this breakfast was absolute worlds better, especially since you'd have to pay for it. And you got treated because of your status, which everyone says status does really matter when it comes to these hotels, whether you get it organically or you get it through the card. So
You said
those
it's the
first,
Aleph
yep,
Rome.
that's correct, the Aleppo Hotel.
All right, let's try to bring this baby up.
So yeah, for that, I wanted to go big. I wanted to show, my player too, her first time, it's my second time in Rome. So seeing how Rome is and really giving her a good experience as well. And I think it was a really good area to enjoy, and I'd highly recommend that hotel. To me, if you like if you like an area that's a little bit more quieter, but still very close to attraction, this is a great property. The scenery is nice, just the architecture is great, and you're very close to a lot of the attractions in a general sense. Of course, you would take transportation. So I enjoyed it very well, and for those 2 nights, it was great. I mean, we got, like I said, there was a sauna option, and then the food. I didn't try any in-store restaurants just because I think we felt like we wanted to go try the whole Italy experience. Nothing against the restaurants. So
This is the sauna that you're talking about, yeah?
yeah, it was very pleasant. I enjoyed the amenities of the ride, and I think it helps. Like I said, as being status with Hilton, they really do treat you differently. And well, I didn't get the upgrade at that time, so I was just good to enjoy the experience really.
That is a good way to spend a couple of nights. Man, that is good. It looks like we got a lot more people joining. I want to say welcome to all my fellow creators: Matt Clausen, Matt Welter, Richie, the CEO, John, one of my moderators. Call me Lonnie is in the house. Sledge Inc. team is in the building. Salute. Those are just some of the creators that are in here. Darius Jamal is in here as well. We're going to be getting to your comments and stuff like that. We just want to lay down a little groundwork about points travel. So, Mike, when you were in Italy, now you've traveled to Asia, you've traveled to Europe, you have been to, I believe, Central America, South America.
I have not. I'm planning to though. It's definitely on the
Okay.
bucket list.
So now let's answer an age old question. Now, I know my answer and I know what my personal experience was. What was your experience using your Amex cards abroad?
So if we start in Europe, I'm going to be honest. So the funny thing about Italy, specifically with American Express, is that they actually advertise using Amex. Like there's actually a booth, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, it's either Rome or Milan airport, but in one of those airports, they literally have booths set up saying, hey, we're American Express, try out our cards, apply. So they vividly want you to use Amex in at least Italy. And so I didn't have issues in Italy using my Amex except for one small mom and pop shop. But
Hmm.
otherwise, if I went to a restaurant, even just a general one, it was fine for Italy. So for Italy itself, it was great. Europe as well. I think it is what people say it is. In some parts, it can be a little bit um, not accepted because of the fees.
Hmm.
So that general assumption is correct. I mean, people are aware of that. Asia, it depends where you're at. I would say the poorer countries, like when you start going to like Vietnam and like the Philippines, it is people admonish that they don't want to touch it with a 2 foot pole, 10 foot pole.
Yeah.
I was in Korea. It was actually fine, and in South Korea, obviously, is a little bit more upscale, especially if you're in the capital.
Hmm.
Just kind of think of the population and the people. So there are misconceptions, but Amex, like I said, it is a good card, but I think everyone knows that if you want to carry Amex internationally, I definitely think you should have at least a backup card, whether it's a Visa or Mastercard, just in case. That's from my experience at least.
Okay. All right. So you heard it here. You heard it from a world traveler here. I'm telling you, we're going to bite into this. He's got a lot going on. But before that, I want to thank RabRad869 for the 5 spot. Thank you so much. He says, I love the no BS, no salesman approach to credit card YouTube. Keep it up. Once I get out of pop up jail, on the Aspire for Hilton status. I'll jump on the Aspire for Hilton status. Hey, you know what? I totally agree with you. I was willing to do it while in pop up jail because that FNC is so meaningful to me. And when I tell you about the Hilton Lake Como, you will understand why. Also, for you, Mike, Matt Welter has a question. Where in Central or South America do you want to go? Because I think Matt just recently did a trip to Panama.
Well, Matt, thanks for the question. I think for South America, I definitely want to try Brazil. I've heard a lot of great things, a lot of exciting things, but of course, there's always proceed with caution. But I think, like I said, I think every place has its own uniqueness, and that's the thing. You want to explore different things. You want to have new experiences, and I've heard so many interesting things about that country in particular. So that's what I'm eyeing, at least for that part of the world, actually.
Okay. Brazil, actually, I was looking at through Rio, and like some of their Hilton properties are like dirt cheap. I'm talking presidential suites and stuff in Rio de Janeiro. So I mean, that's definitely a good location. So now we've touched on Amex acceptability, but here's another question for you. So you said you flew economy, you use Virgin Miles. Which points, like, do you have, like, because I know the trip has been a little while back and we were supposed to do this earlier, so I do apologize, but which point mix did you use, like which convertible points, which currencies did you use to pay for the trip? Let's start with the departing flight from the US.
So that was through player two, and we use part of her Amex green card. So the Amex green card, like I said, learning experience. I wanted to show her, hey, let's do it. So she just got that card literally last year, right before our trip. And when we booked it a couple months ago, we used her points from Mexico could transfer to Virgin Atlantic. So it was very smooth. And like I said, Virgin Atlantic, I think a lot of people know, was one of my favorite airline partners. It's very versatile. It takes you literally everywhere. I mean, from America to Europe to Asia, and maybe even South America. I haven't tried it, but that's how crazy Virgin Atlantic. I know there is fees for it sometimes, but yes, you can get so much great value at Virgin Atlantic. So we started very simple with Amex to Virgin Atlantic, putting your 10,000 miles each, and we flew from Atlanta to Rome. So that's the start. How about you, Chad?
For me, I actually used, I do believe it was Amex points, if I recall correctly, because I did a video about it, but I'm trying to recall off the top of my head. I did a positioning flight from South Florida to Atlanta, and then we did Air France. I believe it was Amex points, and we did business class. So we flew business from Atlanta to Paris and then to Milan. And just in case anybody doesn't know, when you hop countries in inside of the European continent, they pretty much put you on short haul jets and they just do not book the middle seat. So it's like that's pretty much it. And the seats are economy size, but that's their idea of business class. But yeah, that's what I used. I used points, and it was about, I think it was like $300, $300 or $400 for the two of us, but that's what we got. Now,
Was it?
short thing, we were actually supposed to fly on the A350, the newer version of Air France business class. But for some reason, in the intervening months that it took for them to actually put us on a plane, they changed us to a 787. And we actually flew the older product.
That
Let
should
me
be what
try to
this.
pull some
That's
stuff
probably
up.
what the 787 Dreamliner, I believe.
Yeah, it was a Dreamliner. Because I actually flew Dreamliner there and back because I flew the Dreamliner coming back on Lufthansa as well. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. As a matter of fact, let me share up and we'll present it here. Let me pull this up, and this ought to do it. Oh no. Oh, okay. I guess it only shares that. I was gonna pull it up from my hard drive, but I guess it only shows. Oh, we can share the entire screen. There it is. So we'll do that. We'll do this. So like here you'll see some of the
Is it the Chad? Is it the reverse herringbone or no? I can't remember telling my S787 reverse herringbone.
um I do believe it was, yes.
Because I flew Air France too my first time around, and I think it was a 787 reverse herringbone. It's like a little bit dated. It's got like like still got the blue seats, but a little like a whitish yellow is how I describe it.
Yeah,
Like it looks like the white just started. I hate to say it, but it started getting dated and stained almost. Like it used to be a white.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So I, I was kind of bummed about that, but that's just to give you an idea. That's just a part of like this here. The That's me and my mismatched socks as well. So like I'm sure you recognize those colors from the product. So I just wanted to give you guys a little idea as to what it is that you'll see there. So let's do this. Oh, it didn't share out. Well, sorry, I'm new at this. But for the most part, that's pretty much it. That's how I got over there. I used Amex points for Air France. So now for your hotel accommodations, you said you did points at the Aleph in Northern Rome. So you started in Rome and ended in Milan?
That's correct. Yeah. So we'll talk about the first two nights were at Hilton. The other two was actually at a Hyatt SLH
Okay.
at the 181 Bambino Suites, which is that was out of pocket.
Hmm.
And actually, so this one is probably going to get a lot of discussion because when it comes to height, everyone knows just a general opinion is about 2 cents per point.
Hmm.
And being really what was happening in that situation with the cash price was just not very advantageous based on the points. If I recall, I think it was like 25,000 points tonight. And the cash rate came out to basically saying the CPP was like 1.5.
Okay.
So I totally understand if you say, well, I still want to pay the points because I don't want to pay out of my pocket. That makes sense. But for this situation, I thought about it, and so I paid out of pocket for 2 nights, and then I used $100 Amex offer for that promotion. So I paid $500, $100 off, so it's 400 for 2 nights basically is what I came out of pocket.
Okay. And I also got, I have it pulling up. I'm going to pull it up on the screen here. Well, I was going to pull it up, but I see what you're talking about. And the funny thing is that even though Rome wasn't my first place, I actually stayed at a small luxury hotel as well, and I stayed at the Palazzo Manfredi, which had great
Right.
location. It was right across from the Colosseum. We dined at Aroma, which was the rooftop restaurant. They afforded us breakfast as well. Credits for that, and we dined with the Colosseum as our backdrop, which was awesome. Some of those places now, did you find that the rooms were really small?
So the Hilton one, it was tiny. I mean, I remember my player too. She always brings a check in, which is fine, and it
Hmm.
could barely fit, I guess, between the wall and the bed. But with the small luxury hotel, it's called luxury suite. So even though we didn't get a suite, the standard room was really big. We actually had a couch in the room.
Okay.
So it was it was pretty big. Like I said, it was definitely at least double the size of the Hilton one. So it was definitely a different change. And I actually like this location much better than the Hilton. Nothing against the Hilton, but it was much more south. And
Okay.
so you could walk, like we walked to Trevi Fountain. It was a 5 minute walk to Trevi Fountain. So
Really?
that's, yeah, we literally woke up at 5 a.m., did the Trevi, we got it with no people. We hanged out a little bit. We went to eat breakfast at 7, and we walked back to Trevi on the way to another attraction. So it was a great location. And also another reason why I booked this one, at least for the Hyatt properties, because the Tribune Hotel is a favorite for a lot of white people who want to go to Rome, because that category is, and based on that time, was 12,000 points on it, which is
Okay.
ridiculous. Which is ridiculous. I mean, it's,
Yeah, that is
but,
insane.
and I remember looking at hotel properties at that time, almost 5 months at that time, it was already booked solid. So with that, like, this Bambino's piece was great. It was, like I said, same thing with you, Chad. I got the rooftop breakfast buffet. It was very
Mm.
nice, but definitely not as luxurious as the Hilton one. Just do a comparison. It was much more standardized. It wasn't as much, I guess, different types of food that I was expecting. It was very standard with a lot of just the bakeries, but once again, a great scene. And I'd recommend this location if you want to be more in the city. Like, literally, as you get out, you're basically in the shops area. You can go to all the shops, a lot more noise. You can get more quick bite eating here. This is what basically how my room looked right there on the picture there. You basically had like a couch, and there's your rooftop for the breakfast. So if you want something a little bit more city, more noise, but you're in shopping area, and we were also near, gosh, trying to think of that Spanish,
The Spanish Steps?
yeah, we were also close to the Spanish Steps too. We literally 10 minutes with Spanish Steps. So it was like, so what happened was, because our room was not ready, we literally went to the Spanish Steps, walked around, chilled out with all the people, and then we came back. So, and I believe we also went to the Coliseum from there. It was about a 15-minute train ride or a 20-minute walk. We actually did try the walk on the way there, and then we
Yeah.
trained it back. So to give you a comparison, very good center located if you want to walk. So 20-minute walk or 15-minute train ride from the Coliseum, and so
Hmm.
that was very nice too. So if you like more space, less luxury, I highly recommend this property. It is a SLH property, and we all know that it's going to be changing, I believe, to Hilton, I believe.
Yeah, they're going from Hyatt to Hilton.
So,
When I did it, I actually I booked it with Hyatt points and the card that I put up for it, and me and the wife had a fine dining experience that we probably will never do again. But not that the food was bad, it's just we're just not that cultured. But we put our Hyatt card up for that and got all the Hyatt points from that as well. But yeah, I'm going through these pictures. I just want everybody to see what kind of luxury you were staying in, and that looks really nice. Because I remember that area,
oh yeah,
and
it
that
was.
area is nice. Because from
It's
Trevi, you could walk across. It's probably like 5-10 minute walk before you get to the Pantheon.
Yes, I mean, like I said, it was very central looking. I would say, and I said in my videos, that I think the only place that's not going to be close, wherever you stay in Rome, in my opinion, is the Vatican. The only
Mhm.
way you can find a hotel near the Vatican is stay in the Vatican. Because if you look at the map of Rome, it's
Yeah,
literally separated by water. So unless you stay at the Vatican, that's the only way. So Vatican's always going to be 30-ish, 40 minutes away, depending on
yeah.
walk-in or train. So, but this property, I highly recommend if you want to be central to Trevi, Pantheon, Spanish Steps. The big open area is like a 15-minute walk. Oh my gosh, that the big open area with all the statues in the water. I don't know
Oh,
why.
the Piazza di Popolo.
It's all I was near Piazza Popolo and Piazza Navano.
Yeah, yeah, Piazza Navano as well.
So
Yeah, the Piazza Navano is really nice, and they have like they have all these outside restaurants, and then you have performers out there. It's pretty cool. So you have two of those because the Piazza Popolo, if you go beyond the Spanish Steps, it actually that main road terminates at the Piazza Popolo, where you have the large lion statues, the Egyptian obelisk that is there. From what I was told, it's like 3,200 years old. And then if you double back, you have to double back the other way in order to find the Piazza Navona, which was famously featured in the Da Vinci Code.
correct. Yeah,
But
and I was
just
I
want to
was
thank.
5 minutes
I'm sorry.
away. I was 5 minutes away from the Piazza Piolo actually. That's how close I was to that one.
That is awesome. I just want to give a big shout out to John, one of my moderators, for the two spot. I appreciate you. So far we have gotten into how we got there, what we did when we originally got to our spots. I'm gonna go to some comments here, go to some questions, and then in addition to that, I'll tell you guys about my first hotel that I landed because I went in from the north and came down from Rome, whereas Mike came into Rome and went north. So see here. We got Cesar Joel in, we got Sledge Inc. team in, we got John saying Michael walks the walk, which is absolutely true, or else he would not be here. This is the place for that. Anthony Venture is in the building. Let's go. Michael Wong has some great travel stories. You were actually featured on his podcast as well, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, Anthony was my first podcast a couple months ago, and it was a great introduction to my life and introduction. So I really appreciate Anthony letting me join in for one of his lives on Saturday. So it was a great experience as well.
Awesome, awesome. We got DJ Bruce Wayne in the house. What's up, Chad? It's been a while. Salute to Michael. What's up to all the chat, he says. Juan Garcia's in the building. And Filmo says just hit a smallish parlay, getting closer to NOLA. So, Mike, by the way, since he brings it up, are you going to be in New Orleans?
So it's good you asked me that, Chad. So last week, I was talking to a lot of everyone on the Discord, and I was like, I got kind of jealous, and I have my plans set. We have travel plans, and like there is an opening, and so I started looking at flights, and I found once again the Virgin Atlantic hack right now. So I was telling
Mm-hmm.
people I got it for 7,500. I'm gonna go to New Orleans straight from Atlanta, so it is gonna be through Delta. I have to figure out the hotel situation. I'm planning on burning my Capital One Venture X travel credit, so it'll be a combination of that. But I should be there for the weekend, and I can't wait to meet everyone. I felt really
Awesome.
bad missing Vegas last year, but this is definitely a great spot to meet up, and yeah, I'll definitely be there. It's gonna be a great
Awesome.
time.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Let's go. Yo, New Orleans is going to be so lit with all of the people claiming to be doctors, claiming to have birthdays that are going to be staying at their hotels. I'm surprised they probably have people spying on these feeds just so that they're ready for us because they saw the spike in reservations. So before we get back to the trip, I just want to show you guys a picture of the Palazzo Manfredi. Let's see here. Let's go. Let's go from here. I didn't set up my slides, so
Man, Chad,
we'll
I
have to
mean
deal with that.
that Palazzo Manfredi, I wanted to go there too, but when I looked at the points, it was like 40,000 points tonight. But man, like when you see like the picture of the Palazzo Manfredi on the background, it's ridiculous. Like it's gonna make you fall in love going to Rome when you see that backdrop, like literally just the Colosseum right behind you. I mean,
Yeah, it's a beast.
it's
Let me did it do it? No, didn't do it. Let's do it this way. I'll do it this way.
Cool.
So let's do it this way and share. Does that come up? No, it still doesn't come up. Let me do it because I really want to show you guys this hotel. It's the only reason I keep doing this, even though I am not an expert at this. So let's do it full screen. So the full screen doesn't come up either. You're not seeing the hotel right now?
We are not Chad.
Oh, that's wild stuff, man. Damn. Wish I could do it. Let's try this way. Oh no, I'm not doing all of that. Well, I wish I had the pictures because I have all the pictures. I actually never made a video of it, so now I have to make a video of it with some of the shots. But it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, John says you better be there, Michael. In addition to that, who else do we have here? Cesar Joel says, can't wait for NOLA. Already booked flights and hotels. First meetup was great, and I'm sure this one will be awesome. John says, can't wait to experience the Roosevelt, another Hilton property. And it looks like I am stoked to meet everyone. Of course, hang out with Chad. Chad and I are old. Yes, we are. Thanks for pointing that out. We are old. But okay, so now my experience getting back to the trip. When I flew into Milan and we went to Lake Como, we actually stayed at the Hilton Lake Como, which I have to tell you is one of the most beautiful hotels I have ever been to since ever, period, forever and ever. Amen. I would get the Aspire card while in pop-up jail just to have the FNC to go back there. I would just do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I was actually able to shoot live from there, so I'm going to pull it up because I'm on the Hilton site here. I'm going to show you the stock photos because I did live footage from there as well. That was when I was doing live January, so those are hard to you guys can actually check the channel for that one. And let me pull up, I'm going to show you guys the Hilton Lake Como. This hotel is gorgeous. So I know this will work. So let's do this. Let's share it up. Let's do this. Boom. Payal. All right. I knew that one would come up. So this is what it is, the Hilton Lake Como. When you go to hotel details, this is actually the hotel here. If you can see my mouse, this part here is actually a silk factory that they repurposed, and then they built all of this within the past 6 years. There was an anniversary when we got there, and as you can see, just right there is Lake Como. This is an Italian villa over here that we were able to take pictures at, and this is part of the market area, and there's a walkway all the way around the lake. Absolutely beautiful. So if you see here, these are some of the rooms. This is actually a close depiction of the room that we stayed in because we got upgraded to a terrace view suite when we got there. Shout out to the diamond status. And it was just gorgeous. Only ours, the walls were wood instead of that white. But this is pretty much where we stayed. We dined at this restaurant here. I forget the name of it, but they had the best, not tiramisu. No, it was the best tiramisu that we had ever had. This pool was actually heated at night, and you had a little fog coming off of it because the vantage that they're at here is from the rooftop restaurant, and you can see all the hill area and the mountain areas in in the Como region. My wife took advantage of the gym. I wasn't working out. Forget it. And this right here, if you see where my mouse is, this is actually a cart that takes you up. I forget, it's called not the Fiumicino, I forget the name of it. It's escaping me, but it actually take you up here so you can get a wide vantage of the entire lake and Como. So that's the conference area, but this is actually outside. This is an atrium area beyond that silk factor where you come in to check in. So I just wanted to show you guys that. So that's where I stayed, and I tell you what, I would do it over again a million fulfillion bajillion times. Absolutely amazing. So, Mike, you stayed at the small luxury hotels and resorts. You were in Rome. So, how did you make your way to Milan, and where'd you stay in Milan?
So after 4 awesome days in Rome, like I said, and I highly recommend, like I said, you say the touristy stuff are touristy, but no. When I actually talked to one of the Discord members, one of our newest ones, ET Points Home, give a shout out to him, one of the newest members of the Venture Capital Discord. And doing these attractions, they may sound touristy, but trust me, it's worth it. It's worth going to the Coliseum, even though I've done it for the second time around. Like, you don't have to be a fan of architecture to understand how crazy it is for that stuff to be around hundreds of years, how they did it during that time. I mean, doing it the second time, I was so appreciative of the event, and I going down to the arena. That was amazing. Like, just seeing that the 360 view, and I mean everything. Even when you go to the Whirlwind Forum, like that's amazing. To Paladino, that is a great experience. Just seeing history from
Oh,
all
you
the
went to
time ago.
Palatine Hill?
Yeah, we went. We did the
Wasn't
whole
it
run, but
amazing? And
I
all the
mean,
ruins?
like I said, do the second time around. It's like you almost like, wow, how did I not appreciate the first time around? And that's the cool thing about history. It's and how to enjoy just all of it there. So doing that, um, Vatican was fine. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, it's fine. Like I felt bad for my player too because I think she was expecting like it's gonna be weird. She thought she was gonna see the Pope, which misconception, obviously.
Okay.
The only time you're really going to see him maybe is for one of those masses, but
Yeah.
obviously we weren't there for that time. But it's fine for the experience. I don't think we had that much, but otherwise from Rome standpoint, it was a great experience. Highly recommend Rome. The food, Chad. What do you think about before we move to Milan? Because I know the difference with Milan and Rome. What do you think about the food in Rome?
I thought it was amazing. I like the fact that in Europe, they don't actually use a lot of the stuff that we use here. I can eat tons of pasta. I can eat, and I have the gout, I have arthritis. So, like, I can eat tons of beef. I never feel bad. I can eat tons of bread. I never feel bad. I enjoyed, because I have a sharp shellfish allergy. I enjoyed steak. I enjoyed bolognese. I enjoyed pizza. Like the best pizza in the world, I got to tell you, is in Venice. But I enjoyed pizza. I enjoyed all of the things that it was just amazing. I love the food. The food was fantastic, and me and the wife, we enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, one of my favorite foods is pasta, and whether it's getting those pizza balls or just getting homemade pasta, it
Hmm.
was great. I would say the only thing I will say about Rome, in my opinion, when we were there, is that at least for variety, like if you're trying to look for something other than pasta, I think it's going to
Hmm.
be a little bit harder than you think. Like especially if you're in those touristy areas, they're going to just kind of generally serve a lot of the pasta stuff. So if you maybe want to not eat pasta, it's going to be, I would say, a little bit harder than you think, at least in Rome's perspective. But if you love pasta, bread, the pizza balls were great, any of that stuff, it's definitely the place to be. Just carb all day for Rome, really. But
Awesome.
into, like I said, Milan, I think we did the same thing. So, but let's see here. So I did the Italia Rail. We did the. I'm not going to say the Italian word. I know it starts with an F, the Ferrocarrosha. So we did the high
Oh yeah,
speed.
yeah, yeah.
We did the high speed, and it was great. I mean, it was about I think 2.5 to 3 hours straight up to Milan. It's a great experience. Like I think, like I said, if you can do the train, especially in Europe, train is the way to go over flying because of was one big thing. If you've never been to Europe, the
Yeah.
trains, unlike in America, which America is a mess right now, taking a train in Europe takes you to the central part of the city. Like if you're in London, it takes you to the central part of the city.
Yeah.
The airports do not. So it's great that because the segue into once you go from Rome to Milan, taking the Italia rail, our
Hmm.
hotel, the Hyatt Centric Milan, was a 5 minute walk. It was a
Oh
5 minute
wow,
walk. You literally come out of the train station, 5 minutes, we're there. So
that's what's up.
so that was probably like strategically, it was a great way. So like I said, 3 hour train ride, great views of just the countryside, just enjoying the scenery and making it into Milan, which is a different animal though compared to Rome. And we
Hmm.
stayed at the Hyatt Centric Milan for 3 days, but we didn't stay in Milan all 3 days. And I don't know, you may know this too, Chad, but when you start traveling with a player too, sometimes things can change.
Hmm.
And so we actually decided to detour for one day. This was definitely unplanned. Definitely did not use the points because it was so last minute, but we did a 1 day trip in Amsterdam.
Really?
We did a one day
From
trip.
Milan?
Yep, it was about an hour-ish flight. It's very close, like you could train it or whatever, but it was about an hour, 2 hour flight. We took, geez, I did not book the flight. My wife did, so I do not know. We did stay on points though, and so we did the one night in Amsterdam. But for Milan here, I will say for high eccentric. So this is my opinion. I've done on my videos. It's a great property. It's a very good property. 15,000 high points. Breakfast spread is very, very good. Very, a lot of room. Two huge rooms for breakfast. And if anyone stayed at high eccentric, they're a little bit more budget but modern looks. And if it helps, this property, which I've read online, they give you drinks. They give you two drinks per person, but staying there next year, they gave us a total of two more drinks. So we had four free drinks for our time there. So it's a very nice, chic place. I will say it's very close to the train station, but and Chad, you probably know this too. Milan's airport is very, very far
Yeah,
from everything.
yeah, it's out there. They
But
got that thing out in the boondocks.
but and here's my sweet talking. So here's another lesson if people want to know. So when I got in, I was not initially upgraded to a suite, but I did talk to the guy, and I guess because I did not use the word suite, he did give me an upgrade room. He gave me a large deluxe room, which was quite weird because in my video of staying in the large deluxe room, there was so much room,
Hmm.
but it was like elevating. When you walk in, there's like a little elevation, and as you
Hmm.
go down to your room, there's like a little stairs. So it's to try to visualize my room. There was a little bit stairs as you go down to your bed, and at least two times during the night I tripped because I forgot those stairs where they're going to the bathroom because the
Oh
bathroom was
wow.
actually near the door, and then the beds were like corresponding towards away from the bathroom. So I
Okay.
guess so in this way I did get an upgrade, but I guess because I didn't say suite, he didn't give me a suite because he just thought I wanted a bigger room, which was kind of weird.
Oh.
I got a large deluxe room versus a suite. So
So let's see if we can find your room here.
it wouldn't be under suite. It'd probably still be under a room, but
Because they
it
got the
was
king bed deluxe. Was it a king bedroom?
yeah. So it was like some kind of king bug deluxe, like probably that one on the bottom right. Yeah, because yeah, our initial standard room, the one king bed, once again, being in Europe, it was super tiny. Like I said, you could barely walk. Like
Yeah.
that's the
Our
thing
room
with
at the
these rooms.
Palazzo Manfredi, while it was well appointed, I found it to be a little on the smallish side too. But it is what it is. We stayed there for the location. And the bed was comfortable, it was clean, but yeah, I definitely know what it's like to be in a small room like that. So the Hyatt Centric, you said it's really nice because I the Hyatt Centric line, I stayed at the Hyatt Centric in Miami. And even though I live in Florida, it was actually really nice. And how they do is with the Centrics, they tend to actually take local styling and the local aesthetic to engineer and design the hotel. And then they'll curate food and such to the hotel. So, did you find that that was the case there in Milan?
Yeah, like if you go into the lobby right when you get in, you
Hmm.
know you're in Milan because it's got the art sculptures, the colorful stuff. I mean, the music. You really feel like you're in Italy, like you're in Milan. Like that's so you definitely feel it with the Centric. And I did stay at another high Centric in Madrid, and that one also too was a great property. I think if you want to go to Madrid, it's a great property. I think everyone will say when it comes to hotel properties, there are a lot of great properties, especially high properties. They're very, very centrally located right in the city, whether it's on Grand Via.
Hmm.
So if you want to stay in like in Madrid, I'd highly recommend either the Centric or the Thompson because they're literally 2 minutes away. And the
Okay.
only difference really, I think, with the Thompson and Centric these days, Thompsons are a little bit more upper end. It will
Uh huh.
cost you more points, but the Thompson's in a slightly quieter area, whereas the Centric is you're right in the meat of the road basically. Like you get out and there's a crowd. You're coming out into a crowd, almost like New York. You're coming out. So, but I would say the Centric in general was I actually liked it a lot for this purpose. While I was not actually centrally located in Milan,
Hmm.
it was a nice area if you wanted a little bit of differentiation of food. So we actually, my wife actually was a little bit tired. I know I was gonna say a little tired of Italian food. So we did get some dim sum. We did get some dim sum and sushi at a little small place just to change it up. But
Okay.
So highly recommend the Hyatt Centric if you like a little budget. It's great for this transportation. And also, if you want to stay in the middle of Milan, I really think that the Park Hyatt is great. I actually walked by the Park Hyatt, and it's near the shopping plaza area. I'm not going to butcher the name, but it's Emmanuel something something something,
Uh-huh.
and it's right there. Like its location is it's prime.
Just
It's
spot
it's
on.
it's right. There's a train station right when you get out, and you literally just take 1 second. And if you want to do the attractions in Milan, and if you have the points, and you want to say luxury, the Park Hyatt is definitely going to be the best experience, just because of the convenience, the luxury, and where you're at. Like it was a great location for the Park Hyatt.
Okay. That sounds amazing. I love Park Hyatts. I did the Park Hyatt in New York, and I've just been in love with Park Hyatts ever since. Want to welcome Joe Barreto to the conversation. Keith S.
So
says the
Joe,
Thompson recently got devalued by Hyatt. So, about this day trip to Amsterdam, you guys decided to go. Like me and my wife, when we went to Rome, we actually day tripped down to Positano, which is right outside of Naples. We did Pompeii and all that good stuff. So, when you went to Amsterdam, you said it was a day trip. So, no hotel. You just went for the day to see it and come back.
so no, it was a day trip, but we did fly at night, and we stayed at the Hyatt Place Amsterdam Airport, which I've got to say I've been to quite a bit of high places, Category ones, they're lowest ones, but I think what people perceive the high places internationally, they
Hmm.
are a step above. They're basically like a Category 2 or 3. Like it was definitely one of the nicest high places I've ever seen.
Let's
And
see if I can
we
pull it
so
up.
we flew in Amsterdam late at night, and we took advantage of my Globalist. As you know, with Globalist, you do get the late checkout. So we basically milked that Globalist until the all day. So we did basically Amsterdam all morning up until basically late afternoon. And the suck part about Amsterdam is that even in Thanksgiving, it was very cold and it was raining. But if there's one thing about Amsterdam, the transportation in Amsterdam is top notch. Like you can go throughout the whole city and use the transportation and not have a problem. We used it and it was a great experience. We did as much as you could. We did the whole Dutch fries. Um, we walked around all over the place. So it was a great experience for my wife because she really wanted to go. And I think we will go back there soon because I think the best time to go back to Amsterdam, if you haven't gone, is definitely during tulip season, which is in Keukenhof. And I would highly recommend it.
Mhm.
That would be in April. And it's a great experience. I went there and it is just like tulips and flowers, just rows and rows of it all day.
Okay.
So
Kupenhof tulip season. Oh, this right here. Kuchenhof.
yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
yeah, it is tremendous. Like I said, definitely go. I believe right in April. We went at the end of April, so we didn't see basically that mass amount at the sign. But trust me, there's so much more of it. So it's a great experience if you really want to get out a little bit out of Amsterdam in the city, and it's a great experience too. I highly recommend that. And then if you have time, I highly recommend going to the windmills and biking because if anyone's ever been to Amsterdam, the one thing that's super huge there is the bikes. It is all bikes. Like they have basically a permanent bike lane for all the bikers, and it's a sight to see. Like if you get there, you're going to be just astonished of the culture and how different it is compared really to other places of Europe. I mean, it may be similar in some other places, but I wouldn't know if it's other parts of Europe, the bike thing in other countries in Europe, to be honest. But
So biking is huge there.
yes, the bicycles. Oh my gosh, it's to the point where like you don't want to be a tourist and bike there because it's dangerous. Because if you don't know how to navigate, they will like just not give you leeway, basically. So that's how
Really?
serious it is over there in Amsterdam.
Okay. All right. That is something for me to consider because, I'm going to be doing some big time traveling. At least I would hope to continue to do so in this credit card game. So now we've covered Rome, we've covered Amsterdam day trip, we've covered high speed rail. I too took the high speed rail all through Italy. Did you ride business class or regular economy or first class? Because some of those train
We
cars are nice.
Yeah, we did like the second one because we got like the food and everything. So the second class or whatnot, we did the second class
Okay.
and we got the food and everything. It's nice. Like it's a great experience, and it's definitely worth the experience and the money you pay for and the
Mhm.
scenery. I mean, you can't beat that, to be honest. How was your experience, Chad?
It was awesome. We did business class all around every train we jumped on, and like you said, they serve you a meal. They bring by coffee. They bring by tea. I'm a tea drinker. My wife drinks coffee, and to be able like riding the train from Como into Venice, it was about a two. I want to say a 2.5 hour ride, but by the time we got there, going over that long bridge and literally seeing this entire city floating on water, it was unlike anything I've ever seen before. And then also coming out of Venice into Rome and watching the Italian countryside turn into the sprawling metropolis at Roma Termini. It's there's nothing like it. It was just like when we were on the train going from Paris to Rome. It's just I think definitely Europe knows how to do trains, and they've done it right.
So, Chad, I have a question about Venice. So I've heard the rumors
Hmm.
about Venice, and you said you stayed in Venice, right?
Hmm.
So I heard that, and you can kind of mystify this theory is that on the Venice city, like the main city, where everything is at, they
Hmm.
say the chains aren't there. Is that factually true? They say a lot of independent properties are there, but the chains are kind of off the island, off the city. Because people are going
Yes.
to want to use their points and miles for this, and I think that's a good question to really confirm people because I've heard that it's not there, but maybe you can clarify that.
Yes, and no. Because there is mainland. You can fly into Venice. There's an airport on the mainland, but on the very tiny islands that comprise the city, there are not. I don't think Hilton even has a presence there. I stayed in a Marriott, which was probably about a 7 minute walk from the train station, and then there, I do believe there's a Four Seasons deeper in, closer to the fashion district that's there. But other than that, no, you don't see a lot of change there at all, because how it is that each building, their foundations, you'll have a couple of buildings, a foundation, and you'll have some foundations put together. Then there are all the canals in, and there are stone bridges high enough for the gondolas to go through. But it's like you can literally walk all through Venice without a problem. But to accommodate a large hotel, the only thing large that they're really accommodating there are churches and or cathedrals, or the like the Duomo, the Prince's Palace, or anything like that. But yeah, not a ton of chains there. You're probably going to have to Airbnb. That would be my best bet. That would be my suggestion, especially if you want to stay in central Venice, where you have a lot of the tucked away cafes and restaurants, the non-touristic type things. You want to probably Airbnb it as opposed to a major chain, or you might luck out and hit like a Radisson or something. But I think even there, across the bridge on the mainland.
I mentioned that because we were considering Venice too as a day trip and
Hmm.
trying to, use my hide status to hide something like Murano. And I read the stories, and dude,
Yeah,
it's on the one of the smaller islands, so you have to take a ferry to the city. I'm like, I don't know if I want to put. Well, I can do it. I don't want to put my wife through it. So like, that was
yeah.
another thing, and like, I guess another myth I wanted to demystify. I know you were a little bit off peak, but
Hmm.
I know from my mom actually just went there, and did you feel there was a lot of overcrowding when you went, being a
No, there
smaller square
wasn't.
area?
There was not. In January, it is definitely off peak. It was cold, but I like going to Europe off peak because there was a decent amount of people there, but it wasn't so many people that it's just like everything was just major eyes roll, because there was a line and people just doing the most crowded place we went to was the Vatican, because they said even in off peak times it is extremely crowded there. They said it's absolutely miserable during peak season. But the Vatican was the most crowded place we went to, but Venice was actually quite pleasant, and we took a water taxi from the AC Hotel, which is right across the street from the train station. And the water taxi actually took us all the way around the outskirts of the city and then deposited us right towards the center, where we then walked to take the gondola ride and look around. So it was really nice. But once we got off the gondola, now my favorite app to use when I'm out is I either use Apple Maps if I have good signal, or if I can catch Wi-Fi, Rio to Rome can't be beat. Rio to Rome will show you mass transit um, routes, walking routes, taxi routes, everything. It's impossible to get lost with Rio to Rome. I am not sponsored by them. I'm just telling you it's a good app. I use it. It's fantastic. But that was my experience in Venice. Yeah. So yeah, not a ton of chains, but they do. Of course, they're gonna have high class stuff. Like you can actually take a water taxi up to the back of. I want to say it's the Four Seasons. You can take a water taxi right up to the back of it, and it's in Venice proper.
That's
That's
good to
just to
hear.
answer that question. I actually have a picture where in Venice, in there's actually like kind of like a fresco type deal where they put American Express accepted. And I took a picture of it and I posted it. I think I posted it on my channel on let me see if I can pull it up cuz I just cuz like that's how come that was my first question to you was how did you find acceptability because I'm telling you like I mean, some people have different experiences, but I mean, I'm telling you, they accept American Express. I guarantee it. I'm trying to find, I want to see if I have it here.
They had
I
to
don't
chat
think
it.
I have it. Oh, I thought
They
I
had
had it.
booths at the airport. They had to accept it. They were literally having booths at the airport. I mean, you don't just not say you don't accept Amex, but then you literally could give a guy a credit card application at the airport. I'm just like they're promoting the brand at the airport. So
Let me see. Is it here? No, it's not here.
I was
Okay,
I was
I must have
actually
put it in
interested.
Discord.
I'm actually interested in your trip to Pompeii because we were gonna do the Pompeii thing too, but my player two actually got a little bit tired, so we actually
Hmm.
took some time off and just relaxed. So I wanted to hear your experience at Pompeii because I heard it's something I think that people don't realize when you're going to Italy, but it's definitely something you should do just for the experience.
Absolutely. So now we took a coach from Pompeii. We were part of a large group, and it's about a 2 hour drive south. So you come out of Latvium or Latium or however you want to pronounce it, and you're actually heading towards Naples. So when you stop at Pompeii, the ruins, you get there, and at first, I'm not gonna lie to you, they're not terribly impressive because Pompeii, all of that cityscape has actually been built up and is actually butting up to the very same mountain that destroyed the original city. So before, at least they had some space. Now, if that mountain burps, it's over. So you can see a lot of the Mediterranean from there because it's very close to the coast. And then once you get in though, and you get into the excavation site proper, oh man, oh man, they actually still have cooking pots. They have inscriptions of people's addresses so you knew who lived where. There were alleys. You got to walk on the cobblestone streets that were actually worn down by chariot wheels. So you could walk in the grooves and you can see the stones that they put in to make sure people couldn't go down certain streets in chariots. And when you walk down it, you realize that, 2,300 years ago, 3,000 years ago, somebody was walking down this very same street. So we were able to go to the amphitheater where they had all this stuff. And I do believe I really should have made videos about this. I have all the pictures and stuff. So it was incredible just to be a part of that history. And fun fact, we actually went to a brothel. There was a brothel we went to it first. We went to a bathhouse where the floor had fell in, but they show you how they pumped in water to keep the floor heated. So it actually had heated floors and a fresco over it. So then we went to the brothel, and on the brothel walls, which aren't YouTube friendly, there are actually paintings of a menu of services that the young ladies would provide. And we were able to stand in the rooms with the stone beds that were used to have adult fun. So it was a great time, super great time. We saw some of the preserved people who were buried in ash, some of the cast molds that they made from the preserved people. It was crazy. That place, I totally think everyone should go. And then we literally missed the one place that everybody told me that we should go, that we want to go back to Italy for, and that's Florence. But Pompeii was great. Pompeii was fantastic.
It's funny you mentioned that because my first time around, I went to Florence. It was actually so
Hmm.
with my family, we went to four countries and Italy was my country and they said, other than Rome, where do you want to go? I said Florence, and I will say the reason I chose Florence, one, I think the food was great, but also two, as an artist, as liking art, to find the real David in Florence is another reason to go, because you may not know where it is. There may be replicas, but when you do go to Florence, I've told a lot of people this. There's like 30 statues of David,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to find the right one, which is like in a small museum. But I enjoyed Florence. It was a great experience. It's not as hustly and bustly like Rome, and sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of experience and just to enjoy different culture, different type of people. So highly recommend Florence. I think a lot of people too, if you want to do a lesser known city and not so super touristy, and you get to see Michelangelo's David, which is one of the prime
Now,
artistic.
isn't his tomb there as well? His and Isaac Newton's tomb, or not Isaac Newton, him and somebody else's tomb.
I don't recall. I don't recall. You could be. I don't know, but you could be on point with that. But Florence, highly recommend Florence as well. I mean, Italy. It's just there's just so many places you can go. You can be there for like
Hmm.
2 weeks a month, and you won't hit all the city. There's Bologna. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so many. Turin. I mean, I didn't even go to Naples. I mean, you can go
Hmm.
to just so many. Did you have like take Florentine? We did have steak. We did actually have steak Florentine. It's huge. It's huge, by the way. It is huge.
Really?
I had to share with my brother. It was like, oh my god, it was huge. I don't know. It was like 2 or 3 pounds. It was huge. We had to split the steak. It was huge. So I
Wow.
mean, it was like I said, I highly recommend Florentine as well. If you can go there and
Okay.
if you have time, even for a day or two, just to see and just be amazed and just experience a different culture and that city.
Okay. So now we've covered the entirety of Italy, right? So then my next question is, how'd you get back to the States?
Oh well. All right, so I did a video on this one, and this one is so this is I think this is if whoever's here in the Points of Miles game, I think this is definitely something that I think I've talked to John about this too, was that when you book a flight, you need to do your research much better. And this is probably where I started doing so much better research on flights.
Hmm.
And so I booked this and I was like, hey, ETA Airways, it looks very interesting. Let's do this. Let me do 75,000 of my Virgin Atlantic miles, which came from Capital One. Let's do this different type of plane, never heard of them really. Looks like, and I felt maybe a little bit of pride because it was Air Italia, it's Italy's airline. Let's do it. And
Hmm.
so I flew business class ITA Airways from Milan to JFK, and we did 75,000 points. Came from my Capital One account, Virgin Atlantic, I think they are pretty much, to my knowledge, they're the best way to do that if you want to fly ITA, which, spoiler alert, and Matt mentioned this too after my flight, that I think about a month after my flight, Milan actually discontinued that route with ITA Airways. So ITA only now flies out of Rome to America. So whether you think that means it's a good experience or not, so I would like to say it was on the old A330, which I had to look up because I don't remember, but it was a dated product.
Is that familiar?
Yep, 2 hour delay. God, we can go on about Milan and the airport, and it was disappointing. I mentioned this in it was a disappointing airport. Being probably, I think you would say the second biggest city in Italy. There was no business class lounge for my flight
No.
unless you flown Emirates, which I think you did. If you flown Emirates, you got the business class on for Emirates, but
No, I've
there,
never flown it. I know they accommodate the Air 380, the Airbus 380 there.
but it was it was an underwhelming experience. Like I said, I know it sounds terrible to say, but the food was great. Food was great. The food was the best part, but the product, the hard product itself, was something to probably think about going forward. And that product, I would consider, I believe it's either the A350s they have now, which is much more modern. It's also the reverse herringbone, and it's a
Hmm.
much better product or a hard product. Otherwise, if you're talking about soft, Ita had a great soft product. The food was great, the
Okay.
service was great. It was still great, but as you're going through the plane, you can see the very, we'll call it unique colors and just the unique stuff in general. Like the problem with Ito was that if you chose a certain row, you were facing the aisle, and you were literally facing the aisle. Like you can see
Hmm.
this chair here, you're facing the aisle, And so if
Yeah.
you wanted privacy, it's going to be bad. And that also applied to the middle and side. So if you want to do it, it's great, but I would highly recommend making sure it's an A350, and you're probably going to fly out of Rome. I guarantee you're going to have a better experience because since Rome is the hub for ITA, you'll have a better experience. You'll have the lounge, you'll enjoy the product better. But for this experience, the food was great. It was the best. I had risotto. I had veal. I mean, I had pumpkin risotto. I had veal. It was good. But overall, everything else was just being on a couple of flights lately now, like doing versus like United Polaris or Air France. The hard product was nothing compared to at all. It was just like this lady here. She didn't have enough room. Like, Cat, if you're, I said in my video, if you're 6 feet, you couldn't extend your legs all the way through.
Whoa.
Yeah, it
Let's go
was.
back to that.
I mean, look at her legs. Her legs are literally in almost a 90-degree angle because she couldn't extend all the way. Like it was, it was,
Wow.
it was disappointing. Like obviously she didn't probably mind maybe because she's okay with it, but I would appreciate a longer seat. But yeah, otherwise it's business class. You get the lie flat seat. The seat was comfortable. There was a massage actually, which I didn't mention in the video. There's actually a massage in
Really?
the seat. Yeah, so that was probably another plus that made the hard product better. But otherwise, I think if you can get this product on probably lesser than 75,000, which I think it was a lot. It's a lot these days. I think if you do it
Hmm.
business class, I would consider it if you could find maybe a transfer bonus. But for 75, I probably wouldn't do it at least for this product. But Milan, yeah, it's disappointing. The airport's disappointing. It was just very small. Like I said, it didn't cater really to, I guess, if you wanted a luxury travel experience, is my opinion. You probably have a similar experience if you felt the same way. Milan being a very small airport.
In Milan, I just landed there. I never took off from there. When I landed there and we finally got off the plane, I was just looking around like I felt like I don't know, it felt like somebody in the communist regime built that airport. I didn't know if it was nicer on the other side, but it just seemed very blasé to me. And I'm like, how are they accommodating some of these airlines like Emirates and such and what have you? So I think maybe because our plane was so small and we weren't coming from outside of Europe, we kind of got the B side instead of the tip top uh showing. But that's my experience with Milan's airport. I preferred Rome, and when I left Rome, I was actually able to go to a Plaza Premium and a Priority Pass lounge. And one thing I can say is absolutely true when they say Priority Pass definitely hits harder outside of the US. The Plaza Premium lounge I was there was just it was amazing. So it was really really nice. So just before you continue, I want everybody to see that this is Wong Wei Travels. This is a sample of his video. We had somebody ask, Too Easy asked, is there a source of which planes offer the best business class? Now, my answer to that, and I'll give Michael a chance to answer as well, is that I believe that's very subjective because even still, there are some companies where they have varying flavors of their business class, and they're not all created equal. People raved about Air France's business class on the A350, but me and my wife enjoyed Delta One on the A330 more so than we enjoyed the Air France business class. But then on the exact same plane on Lufthansa, the 787 Dreamliner, we were blown away, absolutely blown away by that business class. So it gets a little subjective. You just got to figure out who you like and who you want to fly with and how you're gonna, you know, exploit what it is that they have. So, Mike, what do you think is the best business class?
I mean, I think I'm definitely in the line with your answer. It is very subjective. I mean, it just depends on where you want to go, really. It really helps because where you want to go does dictate the product as well. As Chad's going to talk about Lufthansa, which I want to hear shortly, and also where he's going in the future, which everyone knows, like it's where you're going in January is like probably at least we'll say top two or three, maybe number one. I mean, that is it's top notch. It's not as when you say business class, I think the general opinion is that it's from so it's hard to soft. It's both. Hard meaning the seat all that stuff, the soft meaning the service. So when you can get both of those, that's kind of the difference of best business class. But I can definitely tell you one thing at least that's probably more definite in my experience now in the last year doing 4 in 1 year is that you're definitely going to get the best business class experience if you fly internationally to back home, if it's America or Canada. So I think the product is much better. The hard product won't really change because it could probably be the same plane, but yes, the soft will be definitely better. And to me, the food is definitely better because you're coming from international to America. You're going to get more of that unique flavor. Whereas I did Polaris, and I'm just not a fan of getting peanuts as appetizer. I'm a fan of getting maybe a cold cut meats or a salad, but to get
Mhm.
some almonds, I'm like, this is United Polaris. Like this is your top notch product, and you're giving
Yeah.
me peanuts. I'm like, come on, like so. I agree here too. One thing you do is you definitely should use some seat tools. Guru is a little bit outdated, but you can still find a good amount of product. And Airlopa is a great product, a great tool to look up business class or first class products. So I agree. I think people are going to say generally the Middle East airlines have the best top-notch products, whether it's
Mhm.
you're going to say Qatar or Etihad, and even I've heard rumors Oman is a great one too. So I
Really?
think Oman Air is a very good upper class product that I don't think you can do transfer partners to my knowledge. I have to check maybe with an alliance. There might be a
Mhm.
special alliance with them, but just mention those three. Like if you wanted me to tell you right now, even though I haven't flown them, there's a lot of consensus saying those three, especially if you do. I mean, God knows the first class Etihad is the residence. It's bucket list. Qatar Q Suite, Qatar Q Suite's business is he's going to experience it next year is going to be tremendous. I mean, the room, the service, from top to bottom, like basically people say Qatar is one of the best because especially the soft and that they literally time the people and
Mhm.
they're like literally waiting by your seat. Like that's how good the service is. If you really want to see how great it is, and then Oman Air, I heard like this hard product I heard is very great. Like the seat, the privacy door, the space you get is tremendous. So, and then if you're always considering a Asian airline, I highly recommend. I'm gonna do ANA next month, and I'm gonna do Singapore at the end of the year. Singapore has one of the
Okay.
best business, as you know, A380 business class is great, and
All the
then
sweets.
the first class is, I believe, one of the few, if not only, bed in the sky. So that's what I've heard, and I think if you want to go a different route, I think it's fine. I mean, the American products are great too, and I think
Mhm.
Delta One is. I think it's underrated. I think because it's more of a unicorn, you don't find a lot of Delta One, but I do think you can get Delta as probably one of the best soft products in the world, like domestically, internationally.
Yeah.
The hard may be a little bit. I think maybe for a little bit debate, but I mean you can't argue with Delta. Delta is such a great product overall.
Yeah. I we really enjoyed it. We're partial to Sky Team in this house, but I have to tell you, even though we are partial to Sky Team, we actually secured Lufthansa business class for it was about $150 out of pocket per person, but the cash price of the tickets were almost $5,000 a piece. So we got an amazing redemption, almost 8 cents per point for it. And what I can tell you right now is me personally, it's the best business class I've ever flown. You have the loo with the view, so you have windows in the bathroom. The window shades on the plane were actually they were almost like a liquid crystal display. So you hit a button, and I'm sure they probably just ramped up some voltage in order to increase the opacity on the windows. They were just amazing, and the flight attendant was actually nice enough to let me go to an open window seat so I can film. And this is why my wife is killing me, because she's saying you haven't put the video out of the trip yet, and I literally have a huge file of videos, a huge folder. So now Lufthansa, their their European international business class, so the trip from Rome to Frankfurt was actually head and shoulders above the Air France product. You had more leg space, the food was better, and immediately, when I say immediately, I think they were counting the inches. Once they got to cruising altitude, the champagne appeared. You didn't ask for it. It just showed up. And it was insane. Our flight attendant spoke German, Italian, English, and French, and just ran through everything. Just because some of the people were going to, I think some people were going to Switzerland, so they speak some French down there as well. So just the experience, the soft product, the hard product, it everything was great, even though it's the exact same plane as the Air France plane. But it was an upgraded feel. It was an upgraded just everything. We went to Frankfurt International Airport, and we were actually able to go to the Lufthansa Business Lounge, which was a great experience in and of itself as well. Just when you think German like efficiency, like everything just fell into place. Like everything legit just fell into place, and we got on the bird. We headed into Detroit, and it was worth every single second. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Got a great redemption on
So Chad, it's I'm happy to hear about Lufthansa because I obviously there's been news of Lufthansa in the past with the
it.
whole people. So my question with Lufthansa and the product itself, was it a one-to-one configuration? Because I've heard Lufthansa, there are some business class like that has the two. So was it a one-to-one?
No, no, this one's a 1-2-1 reverse
Okay,
herringbone.
thank goodness. Okay, because I was
Yeah,
gonna say if you had a great experience with the two, I was gonna be like, I'm not saying you can't, but no
I'm
one
gonna
wants a
see if I have a
two
live on it. I can pull up as well.
because Lufthansa is one of those carriers. There's a couple that still has the two business, and this is the reason I told a lot of people to always when you look up for if you want to go somewhere, look up your plane, look up Airlopa, look up whoever the speaker, make sure it's make sure it's the configuration you want. Preferably you want 1-2-1 for the privacy on the left and right, and then of course 2-2-2 is, let's just say it's going to be a little bit troublesome because if you're getting the window and you want to go to the bathroom and that person's sleeping on a lie flat bed, you might have to jump over that person to get to the bathroom. So just a fair warning. I actually have a flight later this year that I openly decided to do it as I trade an experience for the plane. So that's a different story. But if you want to just maximize your experience,
These are some of the shots from Lufthansa business class.
all right. So we've got, yeah, it looks, I mean, the seat looks really nice. I mean, from the small snippet we can see here, it looks really nice. I mean,
So yeah, excuse my live filming. I was probably talking during this, but I went ahead and just muted the sound. But yeah, you'll get a whole picture of how it's all set up. The TVs were pretty big for Lufthansa. We were in the second row. So as you can see there, you see the orange juice and the champagne. Like when I tell you they are waiting to serve. The customer service aspect was just, it was insane. So I'm
so,
just showing you around here around the cabin.
oh yeah, it looks nice. Look at that. And the color's nice. I mean, definitely, it definitely doesn't look, kind of stained like the Air France. It looks really nice. The color's nice. Look at that room. I mean,
See that? They're no joke. Lufthansa is no joke. The wife enjoyed it in there. That's where you store all your stuff. And then they give you the headphones. The headphones are somewhere. But I'm just literally just touching stuff like a kid because, well, I'm just a big kid. That's her trying to be all official. She's trying to film as well so she can put it on Facebook. But yeah, that's just to give you an idea of and I'm a pretty tall guy, and my feet
yeah, you got a
weren't.
lot of room.
Yeah, even when the bed was laid flat, it was crazy how comfortable it was.
Okay. So I don't have this comparison like you do because I told you I took economy. Comparing
Hmm.
products versus Air France and Lufthansa, how do you compare the products? You probably had similar flight time in the air. So how do you compare
Yeah,
both products?
I would pick Lufthansa all day over Air France. All day. I mean, there is a comparison. I'm not saying that the Air France product wasn't nice. I just the Lufthansa product was just better.
overall.
That's all. It wasn't a fact of good versus bad. It was good versus better. That's pretty much all. That's the best way I can put it. So there's no. I mean, if I had to take Air France business again, would I? Absolutely, absolutely, without a doubt. Would I do it if I had the option to do Lufthansa? Probably not.
And I think too to mention this too, like it's not a terrible thing to take a product again, but I think because you can only fly so many times a year, or you know, there's always the opportunity to stress out that you should always try new products, also to new places to go if you can. I mean, it's not terrible to do air because I've done Air France twice now. I've done it on
Hmm.
the old product, and I did on the 777, which the
Hmm.
777 one is spectacular product. It's got the new white logo. It's got the
Hmm.
partition door. I mean, it's a nice product. The hard product is really nice. Soft, it's up for debate. Like I said, it's not as great as the hard product, but if you like luxury, that 777 is up there. I think it's similar to the A350 with the door as well. It's got the more
Okay.
modern look. So
And
I
then on Air France, the 777, that's the way you get to La Premiere, right?
exactly exactly. So I mean,
That one's for Lonnie. He's probably signed off because I know he has a young kid. He probably had to put him to bed. But yeah, he has the same goal as mine is to fly La Premiere.
but yeah, it's good to mention that. I will mention this too. And one thing, when you do book flights, there's always, if there's one thing you want to mention to anybody about booking flights, and maybe you can, but if you're a family, I think you definitely could do this. You should try to book as early as possible. And I've told John this too in the Discord that booking early versus booking late, they're both advantages. But the best thing about booking early, if you can, is you can
Hmm.
choose your seats. And the biggest thing that there are some hidden things about choosing your seats early is that if you can choose it early, you can get those we call bulkhead seats. So, for example, when I did Air France, mine was last minute. I think it was in a last minute flight. I really had to hustle. I think it was 2 weeks before I flew. 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And if I could have booked that X amount of time, I could have got those first row bulkhead seats.
Hmm.
And in my video, if you that video, the room of the bulkhead seat was like a first class product. It was that wide. Like
Really?
you could definitely fit probably like me and a half. I mean, it was huge. Like, so I highly recommend if you can. Not every product has a bulkhead seat, but the worst thing you could do is check and see. And if you do, like, and if it's no cost, it's only gonna make your experience better. Like Singapore Airlines has the bulkhead option, Air France has it. Those kind of those kind of things option. Maybe British Airways. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever fly British Airways, but um, well, no. So
I would try them.
I tried on a discount. I wouldn't try like
Oh
on
yeah,
what they're.
absolutely.
I mean, I tried on
Their
like a.
taxes are crazy, but that's how
So
I got back. We made our way back to the states. I mean, this has really been fun discussing these trips, and you actually made mention of it, so I might as well let people know. I mean, I did videos on it as well, but my next trip is actually going to be on Qatar Air. I'll be flying Q Suites from, where are we flying from? I think we're flying from Miami to Doha, and then we're going to have some adventures in the Middle East because we also want to touch Dubai. We want to try Cairo, and I find that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I find that when I do these international trips, if I can hit a minimum of two countries in order to, just widen my horizons and make the most out of my trip and try to mix up products on the way back, I just find that that's better for me. Even though, like when I went to Paris, I pretty much stayed stable and just did a day trip to London. I actually liked going to different cities in Italy, the Vatican, Germany, but that's just me. What are your thoughts about that?
so I agree, Chad. And my next trip, I have two, but the one I have next month is definitely set in stone because it has to be. It's in a month. So I'm doing kind of what you said. I'm doing different countries. So I am flying ANA first class to Japan and Tokyo, which is to me my bucket list destination because if I do that, not that I don't want to go anywhere else going for my life, but if I were to like, God forbid, something to happen to me and I got to Japan and I did my bucket list, also my flight, then I would be satisfied. So we're gonna go to Japan next month. We're gonna do Tokyo for 4 days. We're gonna do Kyoto 2 days and Osaka 2 days, and it's gonna be fun. But as Chad has said, we are taking a slight detour, and this is actually I don't know if I could be more excited for ANA, but we are flying to Taipei, Taiwan,
Okay.
from Osaka, and this one's interesting. We're taking Starlux.
Really?
And this is
Okay.
going, and so unlike Chad mentioned here, European business class, Asian business class is exactly like regular business class. I have it. I'm doing the A321, and I'm going to dub it right now on my thumbnail when the video comes out. The best 2 hour flight of my life. You're going to get the partition door. You're going to get all the food as if you're flying 5 hours. It's People call it the futuristic airline, and I
Uh-huh.
think it is. It's going to be, like I said, the best 2 hour flight of my life going to Taipei from Japan, and then I do a couple of days there. I'm a huge tennis fan, so after Taiwan for a couple of days, I'm going to actually go by myself to Paris to the French Open, and this one is set in stone, but I'm still trying to consider other products just because I'm doing KLM business on
Hmm.
the 787 Dreamliner.
Okay.
It's a nice product. It's fine. People say it can be a little bit dated. I mean, I think it's a great product, but I'm trying to pivot to China Airlines, which I heard is a
Okay.
different product. It's To compare, Chad. It's like Lufthansa. The way I saw how you did the little compartment,
Uh-huh.
it's like Lufthansa. That's how I picked China Airlines. So I wanted to try that product. It's got a little more color, a little bit more vibrance, but that's how I
Hmm.
pictured China Airlines. So I'll be in Paris for a couple of days to watch the French Open, and then this is the one where you literally just mentioned, but I found it on a deal because Virgin had a 50% off award sale last month. 50%,
Okay.
not on taxes, but on the points. So I am going to find Virgin Atlantic upper class on the A350.
Okay.
You don't get, there's hardly any bars anymore, but there is a little mini bar area, not the traditional
Yeah.
bar, but it's a lounge area. And I'll be flying the upper class. Like I said, the taxes hurt, but 25,000 Virgin Atlantic points to go from England to America. I couldn't pass that up. And it is one of my also products I do want to try just because of
Yeah.
it's a different experience. Chad. The lights, the people,
Yeah.
the bar thing. So I will fly a total of 4 different products on this Asia Europe trip, and it's going to be interesting because that's what you do in the points a mile game. It was all on points, and then my wife, she's going to do the opportunity. So she's actually going to go back to her country, and then she's going to go to Japan for a stop again.
Okay.
And I found her business class flight from Japan to America on Japan Airlines on the 7th. And so that's going to be tremendous. I know it's not the eight.
She's flying JAL back.
Yeah, she's flying JAL back. It's not the
That's what's
A350,
up.
but it is a 777, and I think that's going to be a great product too. I think Japan Airlines is one of the best Asian airlines you can
Yeah.
pick. The product is great. It's hard and soft, and if you like Japanese food, it's going to be a very comfortable 14, 15-hour flight back home. So
Okay, so we had Dr. Vinny Boombots come in, a member of the Venture Capital Discord. He is present at the roundtables on Thursdays. He says, "Take me with you." So then Anthony Peterkin asked, and by the way, shout out to Anthony Peterkin. Fun fact, I am into family history research, and actually, I found the last name Peterkin in my family tree from my family branch in South Carolina. So that name has special meaning to me. But he asks, "Is global entry worth having?" To which John responds, "Yes, emphatically." And John says it's night and day difference when coming back into the country. Now, I am inclined to agree with John because the first time we flew internationally, even though I told my wife, go do your interview, she procrastinated. I had global entry and she did not. And I had the joy of waiting in the Atlanta airport for 45 minutes as she made her way through the customs line that I actually blasted through in about 3 minutes. So now, when we came back into Detroit, she did her interview on the spot, got her global entry approved. So we're waiting on our next international trip because, once again, I blew through customs while she was waiting in a line to get an interview. So, what is your experience with global entry?
So I actually have it. So that Milan flight, so Chad, so the weird thing was, so when I flew from Milan to New York,
Hmm.
our original plan was to visit my family in New York for a day or two and then fly back to Georgia. But we had a situation, and so we actually flew back the same day we got back from Milan to New York. So to give you this global entry, which I think is a great example, we had about a 4 hour layover from landing in New York to our flight from Delta back to Georgia. And here's the thing, 4 hour layover. But on my flight from Milan to New York, we were delayed 2 hours.
Mm.
So imagine my mind here, and I'm thinking like, holy crap, now we've got sliced a 2 hour layover. And yes, what saved me and saving grace? The global entry. Even though it was JFK, JFK is a huge airport. We were in a minute. A minute. We took 1 minute. We comfortably were able to do what we want. We got to our flight way early.
Hmm.
And I think, especially if you can use it as a credit for a credit card, it is money in the bank because I guarantee you, like, if you don't have global entry, you're going to wait that 30, 45 minutes. And for my situation where I had to connect another flight, because remember, I had to get out of the international terminal to a domestic terminal in JFK, which
Yeah.
we all know it's not a nightmare, but you got to go to train, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
So,
especially in the New York area airports because they are very much so separate, the international and domestic terminals.
so imagine global entry saved me at least 30, 40 minutes, and I got to my flight in plenty of time to relax. Remember, after a 10, 12 hour flight. So
Yeah.
the answer, it's recommended. You have to get global entry if you're going international. It's another reason too is because in certain countries, I don't know specifically offhand, but if you have global entry, you can actually do the global entry in the departing airport of that country. So when you land in America, you don't have to go through all that stuff already. I don't know if it's
Really?
something, yeah, I don't know if it's Canada, but there's some other countries, even in international, like in Europe, there are some where you can do it before you depart. So if you have global entry, that's another reason to have it because then you don't have to go through that line of people and wait.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. I don't know the specific country, but I definitely heard about that in some countries. So definitely highly recommend global entry. And plus, it's just almost the same price as TSA pre-check, I believe. So if not, it's probably like $20 more. There's no reason not to do it, to be honest.
Well, there you have it, Mr. Peterkin. Your question has been answered. Global entry has a round of approval by all travelers present. I want to give a special shout out and welcome to Points Blank Travel. Rod is in the building. Please check out Rod's channel. He was featured as one of my creators in the Creator Spotlight. Glad to have you here, Rod. He's another traveler here as well. He's out of the Dallas area, I do believe. He's ex-military. Thank you very much for your service. So now with this, since we have covered the trips, now, as a kind of good interviewer, I got a couple questions for you. Okay. So,
Sure.
first question: your top three, because you travel business class much more than I do. What are your top three business products,
Overall, hard or soft?
just all around? Just if you're in a vacuum, all else equal, the top three.
So, so I would say right now, the soft is a little bit alarming, but I think it might just be more specific to me. But I think the Air France 777 was absolute. I think when I envision business class product with just the vibrance, the color, the luxury, and then we don't get in a lot of business class product, but the partition door, like I don't know about you, but like that door was shut like all the time, and
Okay.
you got that in every seat. It wasn't just the
Okay.
side; it was the middle and sides. And I got that last minute, so I got a middle seat. So like I got a partition door in the middle. So the food is always great for Air France. I don't think you can go wrong with it. They always have good service. The wine, it's great. So I definitely enjoyed that a lot.
All right.
Second,
Number two,
second was United Polaris. I think United Polaris,
United
and Lonnie
Polaris.
can speak for this too because he's Mr. United. It's a great product. It's a great product. The only thing why it's not on the top, I think it's because the experience going to America to South Korea and expecting a little bit just more of, I guess, better food.
Okay.
was my disappointment. But the product itself, I mean, like I said, when you go into Polaris, that blue, that ambience, just serenity, like it's great. I mean, the
Okay.
product is great itself. The seat, just the stitching. I mean, everything is just top
Wow.
notch of what you expect
Down
from
to the
United.
stitching. Okay.
I mean, it's
All right.
it's very meticulous with the detail with United. They make sure you feel like you're $1 million. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and the soft product was tremendous. I mean, they did not fail at that part. I love the service from United. If you didn't like something, they came. If you need something, they were there in a hot minute, if
Okay.
not faster.
And number three.
Because I've flown, because I've only flown four, and I did Air France twice. My choice is between that and ITA. And I
Hmm.
gotta say, Air France. I know it was the old product, but you can't go wrong with a reverse herringbone. I think it's a fine product, and
Hmm.
I think the food is just great. I mean, I got the steak fries, and
Okay.
steak fries on a plane. You can't go wrong with steak fries. And overall, I think I like the comfort. The comfort was great. I think Air France. I think the one thing they do right is definitely that lie flat bed. You're definitely going to feel great. And also, I know it sucks, but the value of Air France. I mean, one of the few airlines in the last year that actually has positive value on the business. You can get
Okay.
50,000 and or lower, depending on if it's a deal or the Flying Blue promo. So that also plays in part. Like right now, if you want to be if you want to be adventurous, you can fly from Montreal or Toronto to Paris right now for about 37,500 points. That's without the transfer bonus.
Okay.
So if you add the 25% transfer bonus from Chase, I'm not going to do the math here. You all can do it. But that's probably what 20-ish, 28 one way. I mean, I would take that if you have the flexibility to fly from Canada to Paris on Air France. And if you're lucky, you may get the A350, as Chad's saying, and that's going to be a great experience. What about you, Chad?
All right. My top three. Well, that I've flown, I've only actually ever flown three. But if I had to rearrange them all around, I would say Lufthansa number one, Delta one number two, and Air France number three. Now, when I fly Qatar Q Suites, I will see how that ranks. It has been rated as the best business class in the sky, the first class of all the business classes. But until I get my butt in the seat, I will not weigh in on that. So those are my three. So now my next question for you. You seem to travel a lot, at least since I've known you, traveled a lot. So now without, you don't have to get too particular. So what what do you do for a living that affords you the ability to travel? Like I said, you don't have to get terribly specific as, because some
So,
jobs you really can't. So I totally understand.
so yeah, I mean, just briefly in my intro video, which you don't need to watch, by the way. It was just like I said, but I am in the healthcare field, but I am in account management
Hmm.
in the pharmacy business. And the one luxury is that in healthcare, there's always going to be demand, there's always going to be availability. But in this case, because I've basically been in what we call managed care for like almost 10 years now,
Hmm.
that you can do these kind of things for clientele. And so I run an account management for clients, and I basically make sure their business is running to optimization, whether it's their finances, to their service, to everything like that. And so because I'm remote, I have the flexibility of clients all over America, whether it's clients from Puerto Rico to Seattle. It allows me more flexibility to, take a little bit more time and enjoying your work life, but also mixing a little luxury in between. So, to answer your question, yes. So I do work trips, and then sometimes I do a nice little staycation, like I did one in
Uh-huh.
December, and we're gonna try to do one later in the year as well. We did try and book our first all-inclusive as well, so
Okay.
that's gonna be interesting as well.
Sounds like it's going to be a good time. So do you work as a full-time employee or in a more of a consulting capacity?
I do work as a full-time employee, and so that is a question. Yeah, no
All right.
consulting.
That's
That's great
awesome.
as well.
So you got to pick one. Third question, you got to pick one. Now, I think I already know the answer to this, but maybe other people don't. You have the American Express Platinum card, you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, and the Capital One Venture X. Which card are you going with?
So you probably aren't gonna know this, but if I didn't, are you saying like the card is if like I just want that card and it's the best situation for me?
You can only have one.
I honestly, I would choose the platinum.
Oh, I
Yeah,
was
I
wrong.
would choose the platinum. I would
Okay.
choose the platinum. If it was, and this is to sound greedy, but like I think the platinum is definitely the best tier travel card. I think it offers, if you want the best experience for travel, even though it is a high annual fee,
Hmm.
it is still the best travel card based on what you're getting for it and the travel experience. Like I said, the Centurion lounges, they're I haven't been in one, but I've heard they're very good. And the fact that they spread internationally much more than the other competitors does matter.
Hmm.
Like there's one in London, I believe. So for that aspect, and the fact that you do get, like I said, Priority Pass, Plaza Premium, and Centurion lounges, and just it's just top notch, and the credits too. I have the Venture X. It's a great card, and maybe over time it gets better, but I think people think it's probably not going to get better with maybe possible nerfing or devaluation because it's such a
Hmm.
positive value card.
Okay.
I've also had the Reserve, and the Reserve is great too, but I had it prior to really the lounge stuff, to be honest. That really the Chase lounges, but it's still a great card. You still get great value, and the ecosystem for Chase right now is, if not the best, definitely in the top three. And it's hard to argue with Chase. But in regards to as a traveler, I would choose the Platinum, hoping there's nothing going negative down the road, just because it's the best travel card you can get, and you can
Okay.
optimize your experience.
All right. All right. Wow. I mean, you surprised me. I thought you were a Venture X guy for some reason, but I too, I'm a platinum man all day long. So next question. Question number four. We're gonna round this one out. We're just gonna round it out with four questions. Now, I've asked you about your cards, but of all of the known card ecosystems, which one is your favorite one, considering that you are a points traveler? Which one would you say that you would probably sell the hardest or that you prefer? What's your favorite points ecosystem?
I'll get a little specific on this one. So I think for Chase, I mean, sorry, yeah, for Chase, I think if you want more well-rounded, I think Chase is the way to go, whether it's hotels, domestic, international. But since I'm such a heavily traveler internationally, I'm actually finding more value in Amex.
Okay.
Amex has, for example, they have ANA. ANA is a, if you want to fly to Asia, I also think that if you want to fly to Asia and you want to get great value, flying to
Hmm.
Japan and taking ANA is your best value, and you can kind of put Japan as your central spot and then move all over Asia if that makes sense. That, and they just have certain airplane carriers that I do like, that I prefer over Chase, unfortunately.
Uh huh.
And I do think, like I said, if some of the bonuses for Amex, sometimes you just can't beat, and you can make good value of it. So for me, if you're really internationally, Amex is a great partner to have in general. But if you want a little bit more mixture, Chase is so strong domestically with,
Okay.
United, and you get a lot of value obviously with Hyatt, but I think you can't go wrong with those two. And then that's what I would say for the top two. I can't. Capital One is just, there's just not enough there yet. It's not enough right now with their hotels and then even their partners. Because to give you a personal example with a buddy I'm helping, it's hard to find him flights for Asia because Capital One is very lacking in Asia for him. Like I had to help him find a flight from Japan to Bali, and I couldn't find it based on his partners because they're so limited. And that's the thing with Capital One. Like the best for that situation was Delta, and guess where
Hmm.
Delta's at? Delta's in Amex, and you
Hmm.
need to use a Delta. It's not like Air France, or you have to use Delta. So for that, and then City is okay too. I think City has some hidden things. Like I think City has had great value with Turkish. I think you can still find value with Turkish, and I believe City also has exclusive, at least with the best one-to-one with Eva Air, which goes to, why am I from Eva Air?
Isn't
Eva
that
goes,
Tahiti?
uh,
They go to
no,
Tahiti.
it's in
Somewhere down
Asia.
the Southern
No,
Pacific, right?
it's in Asia. It's I think it's Taiwan. So
Taiwan.
City is great too because you get exclusively to Eva Air. I think with the points 1-to-1 and Turkish. So I rank really, like I said, I think for me it'd be Amex, Chase, City, and then Capital One, and then who knows what happens with Wells Fargo right now.
Okay. All right. Well, those were my last questions. We've been going for about Hour and 45 minutes. And I don't want to take up because it's already at least what time is it? It's quarter after 10 on the East Coast here. So we got some people that are probably heading to bed, wondering when we're going to stop. But the fact is that we definitely had to get into these Italy trips as a recurring theme because that is what we did back to back. And there were big, large redemptions. Please, I have pinned I pinned Mike's channel at the top of the comment section. Please check him out at Wong Way Travels. Great guy, great content, great experiences. And as it has been said in this chat already, he walks the walk. I want to give a special shout out to everybody drop super chats, and that is going to be sorry, the camera's in the way. That is going to be RadBrad869 and John, who also has a YouTube channel. He just him and Rod just were able to make a connection in the comment section as well. Now, Mike, I want to extend my absolute gratitude for you taking your time out to share your experiences and your knowledge and some of your opinions about credit cards and the ecosystems with us. By all means, please, you can feel free to let the audience know where else they can catch you online outside of YouTube. I don't know if you do Instagram or TikTok or what have you. By all means, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I do sparingly on Instagram. I do a lot of clips on Instagram. I definitely need to do better at it, but yeah, definitely catch me on Instagram at the same handle at Long Way Travels. And
Okay.
I really do appreciate, Chad, the time and opportunity. I think being very newish to the game, at least in the YouTube space, I appreciate all the mentorship, whether it's from Chad to Anthony, even hearing from Lonnie and John. Like it's a great community. I think that's the great thing. I think the one thing about the credit card travel niche is that you're always learning. You're always going to find out new things. You're not going to know everything. And you always, I think in a general, want to find those sweet spots, those strategies to maximize your points in your travel experience. So I hope that if in this last almost 2 hours that as long as you got some kind of value, whether it's understanding a little bit more about the travel game or the credit cards, that's all I expect. I just want to make sure that people have fun and use your points to travel. I think that's the reason. Whether it's domestically to transcontinental, that's totally great, or to transatlantic across Europe, or even across the world to Asia, however it is. That's the main intent of my channel. I just want you to have a great experience, whether it's flying a 222 business or flying a first class A380 Singapore Suites, however it is. Your points are your points, and go do it and enjoy and experience the world. That's what my message is really.
Absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent. I concur 100%. Now we all know that there's a tradition on my live channel, and this is where I say that you all could have been anywhere else, but you decided to be here. I do not count milestones because each and every one of you, Michael, you included, are a milestone for me because you've devoted your time to me. And without you, there is no me. And once again, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you very much so. I know your time is very valuable. And the fact that you chose to share it with me, so to the audience, and that we all shared it together has been one of the cornerstones of building this YouTube community that we have. And I enjoy it to the absolute fullest. And with that, I am ready to sign off. I will leave the last words to my esteemed guest.
Everyone, thank you for joining. I really appreciate the comments. I appreciate the correspondence. Otherwise, everyone, have a good night. And guess what? Go book some flights, everyone. And like I said, tell me about your travels. I always want to hear it. So good night, everyone.
Don't look at me. He got the last word. All right, take it easy, you guys.